goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Oops. Hello there. This is Lynn, the aforementioned Lynn Cullen. Feel free, by the way, to contribute to this hour. It is empty at this point, and it is my responsibility to fill it, but I can always use a little help via email. That'd be Lynn, Lynn, at pghcitypaper.com. Or you can call at 412-376. 316. My eyes are shot. They're shot. I probably shouldn't. 316-3381. I have a cataract on one of my eye that sees distance. And so I go to my doctor and say, get that thing off. I can't see. And they do a test, and she said, the insurance company says you can see well enough. It ain't bad enough for them to cover. Meanwhile, I'm like groping around. I'm asking people all the time, what does that say? What does that say? I hate that insurance companies have so much to say about our health when they don't give a damn about my eyesight, my health in any way. They care about their money, of course. I mean, that's what their job is. But we have a system that gives them so much power. So, all right, what we got? Well, we got carnage again, but yeah, we got carnage. So, the one good thing about the carnage yesterday is it blew Donald Trump off the news in his big speech over here in Monessen. Monessen, by the way, a white labor Democratic town. And Monessen, I'm willing to bet you, will go overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. Which, of course, brings up this great unknown in this frightening election, which is the number of Democrats who will vote for Donald Trump. I think it's a much bigger number than people are acknowledging. That's just my gut telling me that. And granted, and anecdotal kinds of stuff. Every time I talk to anybody who spends a lot of time with Democrats, labor background, working class, white people, they're all voting for Trump. It doesn't matter that they're registered a Democrat. So, I'm just saying. The other thing that occurred to me, and it just occurred to me coming up in the elevator about this latest horror, which we become all too inured about, is how whenever it happens, and this is more in our country, I guess it would happen everywhere. God forbid it should ever happen to me, or to you, or any place where we are. But let us all take a pledge right now that when and if it did happen, wherever the hell we are, we will not say, I can't believe that it happened here. Even people given an opportunity to think about what they're going to say, like the mayors of cities in which a mass shooting has occurred, or can't believe it happened here. Believe it. Come on, right now, before the fact, God forbid, believe it. It can happen anywhere. Anywhere. It's another wondrous thing about globalism. So, I don't know, nothing annoys me more than that, because I don't know what that means. What does that mean about where people's heads are? It must have something to do with the fact that, I guess it's just keeping the boogeyman at bay. I guess that's all it is. It's a psychological defense that, I know this happens anywhere and everywhere, any venue, in any city, in any country. And so I guess we say that because we don't want to feel that we are unsafe. It just paralyzes people, I guess. But it can happen here, wherever you are. It can happen. So then it just becomes, luck. Being in the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the wrong time. And those poor folks who happened to be in that part of the Istanbul airport yesterday, their luck ran out. It's just random. It's just chaos in a way. The very thing that most people find really hard to live with. And so we construct, I'm talking to myself now because I'm trying to figure this out. So we construct in our heads this sense of security, that we're okay, or I guess we wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning. Interesting, I guess. But I think that same ability to sort of deny the chaotic, random nature of the violence we see in the world, I think that gets in the way of our rationally dealing with it. I mean, if there is any proactive thing that can be done, things that can be done reasonably, I think we have trouble thinking about those things because we don't want to. So we react precipitously and emotionally after the fact, as we did in 9/11. And precipitous and emotional reaction invariably is not the wisest course. Just saying. So the interesting thing about this is apparently the Istanbul airport is like one of the most secure airports in the world. I mean, I got a feeling Tel Aviv's is and I've been in and out of that one, and it is something. And you don't really feel like it. It's just, man, you can tell that every person that's dealing with you, the passenger, the unknown, has been extraordinarily trained. So you're not dealing with our poor, our TSA agents, many of whom, I don't mean to make fun, but they don't receive anywhere near the kind of training that is just obviously apparent at the Tel Aviv airport with those people. And they've never had. That has to be the dream location for terrorists to take out. They don't have a chance there, I guess. Well, there's always a chance. So anyway, Istanbul had a really, really, really secure airport. They had a much more secure airport than any airport you see in this country, where they had security before you got into the airport. You went through, even if you, let's say, were flying somewhere that required a stop, here in the United States, you get off the plane and you just walk over to your next gate. You don't go through security again. Istanbul, you do. Caller. Hello.
Hello, Lynn.
Hello.
I'll try not to sound negative.
You can't help yourself. Go ahead.
Not when it comes to politics, but why do they, like this Benghazi in Libya? We can't be the police of the world, and they're going to blame it on Hillary Clinton, which she only had so much power to do things over there. We got to realize it's a dangerous world, and those countries are dangerous. If we plan on being in them, plan on getting people killed.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, I say pull them out of there, but they have other, things they want to do. But
well said. Well said. Of course, there's always risk. There was incredible risk being there. The ambassador who was killed really apparently wanted to stay in Benghazi because he had a real personal connection to some of the people there and wanted to. He was a brave. He was a very brave man who was committed to his job, but he put himself in harm's way more than anybody. My reading of it is. And so what? The Republicans, always careful about government spending, spent how many millions of dollars and how much energy, time, trying to pin this on Hillary, and even their 800-page report can't do it?
Yeah, it wouldn't matter who'd have been in there. The same thing would happen.
Of course not. Of course not.
It's...
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's why I can't get all upset over stuff like that. And in these emails, they all use those emails like that in the past. That was practice. They just did that, and all of a sudden now it's her. She's committing a crime. And that's all Trump blowing smoke, but it gets to be old after a while.
Well,
you could see right through it. It's like
the Republicans don't have a lot of positive things to offer, like, well, here's what we need to do, and here's what we need to do. They just tear down anything that the people who are trying, the administration trying to do. They just naysay, nitpick, politic, and never offer anything positive, any alternative. They just tear things down. They're real destructive in every way.
Yeah, they just care about themselves and the rich. That's it.
Well, yeah, they do. All righty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you.
Yeah. Speaking of those Republicans and their presumptive, is that a word we only use every 4 years? Can you think of another sentence where you would say presumptive? Seriously. I don't think so. So it's one of those words people who are young, who've never been through a lot of presidential contests, hear and they think, what is that? Presumptive. Thank God it's a really easy kind of word to figure out. Presume, the presumed, presumptive nominee. So Donald Trump, the presumptive nominee, was, of course, in Monessen yesterday. And speaking of the Republicans, I mean, this is their nominee. He's carrying the GOP banner, much to the horror of the majority of them, I think, majority of the leadership. So he has so blown up the usual, what we've always known to be the Republican power structure and how it operates, commingling from the corporate world and the world of Washington. So that here, a case in point, yesterday while he's giving this speech to all these Democrats who are going to vote for him, the Chamber of Commerce of the United States is tweeting in real time. They are watching and listening to it, and in real time they're putting out corrections to what he's saying. They're outraged by every other word he's saying. Everything almost he says is a complete opposite of what they believe, and in fact what the Republican Party stands for. So the Chamber of Commerce, one of those stalwart pillars of support for the Republican Party, is watching the presumptive nominee of that party, and they're freaking out every other syllable. And you can bet, because they represent the business sector in many respects, that is the same reaction of all of the people who have funded and held up this Republican Party for years, because, in fact, the Republicans do their bidding. But here's the nominee. And he sounded like Bernie Sanders yesterday, is what he sounded like. Quite a bit. The same kind of critique about what? It's hard to argue with a lot of what he said, and I mean, we've talked about it too, about how globalization and then the consequent free trade agreements have really taken a hit on America's middle class, on European middle class, the West's middle class and working class. Globalization has not been a great thing for them. Hasn't. It's taken their jobs. And hasn't replaced them with anything. So, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody come up with a good idea of, okay, so if this is what it does, what the hell do we do? What are all these people going to do? And that's why in weeks past we've talked about things like some countries actually toying with the idea of literally giving everybody a guaranteed income. And if you were to do that, you would also get rid of other entitlement programs. I mean, if every adult in the country is going to get $12,000 a year from the government, then they ain't going to be getting Social Security, and they ain't going to be getting a lot of other stuff. But then with that 12 thou, they can go and get another job that'll get them 12 thou or 15 thou or 20 thou, let's hope. And everybody will sort of be lifted a bit. But I mean, nobody knows what to do. And it's not just NAFTA and globalization and free trade. What often gets overlooked, I don't hear anybody railing about, because what are we going to do about it, is technology. Today I was behind a UPS truck, and then a mail truck went by him, and the drivers waved at each other. And I thought, you poor guys. Your jobs are not even going to exist in 10, 15 years. So what happens to all those people? I'm thinking, if you were a UPS driver or a cab driver, well, there's hardly even cab drivers anymore. Now there's just Uber-y drivers. But if you were that, wouldn't you, if you were smart, right now be looking for something else, get out there ahead of all the other unemployed truckers and drivers? So that's a whole other sector that's just going to be taken out. Not by globalization, but by technology. So technology takes people's jobs. Globalization takes people's jobs. And there's no stopping it. So governments don't know what to do. We haven't figured it out. And the thing is, we're so slow at reacting that by the time we maybe react, the landscape has changed yet again. And technology has pulled us even into more of a unrecognizable reality. Yeah, there are winners in all of this, but they ain't the majority of people. So you're going to have a lot of angry human beings, angrier than in our lifetime. Because in our lifetime, there was at least in our country certainly, a stability of sorts in regard to job availability and even financial security, much more so than now. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's how you end up with Donald Trump one step away from the Oval Office. Dear God in heaven. And the anger will continue. The lashing out will continue. The violence that begets will continue. I mean, much of what you're even seeing with ISIS and the Islamic world that has come to visit all of us, whether we live in Muslim nations or not, is the reaction of much of that world to modernity. Humankind is being taken kicking and screaming into the 22nd century. Really? I mean, 21st. What are we in? 21st. The 22nd, who knows if we'll ever see it. God. Well, on the bright side of things, Celine informs me the furries are coming next week. And if you never get down to downtown Pittsburgh, it's always, I'll tell you, I'm not normally here at noon, the noon hour, when everybody spills out of all these big buildings and, gets lunch or goes for a walk or whatever the heck they do. And yesterday we did the show later. Was that yesterday? 2 days ago. We did the show later. So I came down at that hour. And it's a whole different scene. You get the sense of a truly largely populated downtown. at the noon hour, and all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, I told Celine, I said, I saw like 8 people dressed as fish walking down the sidewalk. I mean, they had blue things on. I later decided maybe they looked like Charlie Tuna. Maybe they were, I don't know what they were. But it's not an unusual, there's, 8 6-foot blue fish walking down the street, no particular reason that I could ascertain. And then next week, you're standing on a corner waiting for a walk light, or not. And, you realize that the guy standing next to you has an 8-inch tail. It's why I love city life. One of the reasons. It's why I love it. It's just a human parade. And I can't think of anything better. Really. So that's one of the reasons I'm just always so confused by people who want to live in a place that's not interesting like that. But clearly an awful lot of people do. Okay, so can you tell I have no papers today? And so I'm just talking here. If it seems a little less, I don't know. Still feels the same to me, kind of. There was something else, though, I wanted to say about, I think, airport security that I got away from. Oh, yeah. Clearly, the way we do airport security is not to secure the airport. It's to secure the airplane. We are, the TSA thing, the whole thing there is about making sure baggage going onto the plane doesn't have bombs in it, making sure people who are getting on planes do not have weapons and stuff. That's what our whole airport security thing's about, is safeguarding the airplane. Now, you've seen ISIS just this year take some planes down anyway. Kaplu. But you're seeing now that the better target, the easier target for them, is not the airplane. It's getting people before they ever get on. It's the airport. Because the airport, stop and think about it, as a venue, has tons of people packed pretty tightly. And if you want to kill a lot of nationalities, and you want to, spread the horror, if you want to do damage to a tourist industry or a nation's economy, hitting the airport, while not as, spectacular as taking a plane down, is just as effective, I think. So if this is where they're going to go next, okay, so we made it harder for them on the plane. So if this is where they go next, they go where the security doesn't yet even exist. As people are getting out of their cars, as they're bringing their baggage in, as they're approaching security, you get them. Or as they're coming out of customs or out of their planes and coming out, that's where you get them. So, so let's take the airports away from them, and we'll put on another level of security. And before you can even drive into the Pittsburgh airport, where those god-awful fascist eagles are, your car will be stopped. And it'll be searched before you even get in. You'll be searched again once you get in. But are you willing to do that? Think of the traffic jam. Think of the number of people that would have to be hired. And if the idea of terror is to just take out as many people as you can, well then, fine, we'll secure the airports, but then there's still stadiums and theaters and nightclubs and churches and parades and malls. Did I say theaters? So let's get real. We're not going to be able to do it. Right? I don't want to live in a country where I have to stand in line for 5 hours before I walk into any place that holds more than 30 people. I just don't want to. I'll take my chances. So I don't know what it is we think we can do, ultimately. Sure, let's secure the airports more now. So they'll go somewhere else. They already have. They already have. They just want to kill people. People aren't just in airports. It's a problem. Okay. So, school board of Pittsburgh meets tonight. And by all accounts, Mr. Hamlet will survive. And will become the next superintendent. And I have to tell you, that's okay with me. I don't know. It could well be that this guy wasn't totally honest, which makes him, representative of about what? 99% of us? Did you ever inflate anything on a resume? Huh? I'm asking. Did you? Yeah. Sure you did. So, the guy apparently exudes a lot of energy, has a real passion for helping kids give him a chance then. You've already crippled him going in. And in fact, I was thinking none of this would have happened if the Post-Gazette hadn't dug into his resume. If a phone call hadn't been made to his former employer saying, and it says here that he did this and that, did he do this and that? So then you got to ask, why in the name of God didn't the people at the school board, before hiring him, make that phone call? So if anybody should walk the plank here, it's whoever did that search and the people who hired that person and who so quickly signed off on Mr. Hamlet, who I wish well. Seriously, is your resume totally... Do you have a resume? I'm trying to think if I ever fudged. Well, you make things sound bigger than they are. You take a little thing you did and make it into a... and that's what he did. He inflated. And then he found somewhere something that totally explained how he felt about what he wanted to do, so he took that and said, these are my... And granted, you ain't supposed to do any of that, but what I would rather, I guess, at this point, because I guess they're going to keep him, is then just wish him well, get off his back, and get behind him. It ain't perfect, but that's just the way it's going to be, I guess. Okay, so, hey, good news in the Washington Post today, ladies. Good news or not, I don't know. I got a headline here. The days of the dreaded pelvic exam for women may be numbered. Don't you wish guys would have to do that? The days of the dread. But you know what? As I read this, I'm thinking, are you sure that's a good idea? I mean, it would seem that it wouldn't be a bad idea to have somebody take a look and probe around in there once a year. No matter how uncomfortable and it's more. It's why I think most women now go to female gynecologists? Once you have your first pelvic exam and a guy does it, I think you go looking for a woman. I do. Do you think there are a lot of male gynecologists around anymore? I bet there aren't. Because I don't know any woman who doesn't want to go to a woman. Now, women from the old days, when there weren't any women doctors or next to none, they got totally comfortable, doing the stirrups with some guy. And in the case of like my mom, because Green Bay is a small town, and Dr. Austin, who looked up her vagina once a year and stuck his hands in there, and was somebody she went to cocktail parties with. So 1 minute he's so Dr. Austin standing around sipping a gin and tonic with all these women. He been there, done that, and none of them felt uncomfortable about it. But I think today women would be a little more. I don't know.
You don't have to anymore.
No, you just don't have to. You don't have to. You go to a woman. But anyway, it says here a panel of medical experts that advises the government says there's actually not enough evidence to support doing these annual pelvic exams for women who are healthy and not pregnant. But here's the thing. How do you know if you're healthy? I don't know. Having suffered through them all my life, by the way, this is not universally agreed to. Guess who's against it? Guess who's against it? And the first guess, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists are not for it because they, of course, that's their bread and butter. It is the latest routine test to come under fire. Mammograms have come under fire. PSA tests for prostate cancer have come under fire. Who knows all the crap we're doing that we don't have to do? Or that doesn't really do all that much. I don't know. I got a little note saying I'm due for a mammogram. I felt I was just there 2 weeks ago. Ugh. So that's every year? I don't wanna. So it's just sitting there. I will stall and stall and stall because I know that now people are saying, it's just not that. And especially for women who have had no issues in the past, why do we have to do this every year? And why don't guys have to do this kind of stuff? Why are everything we're talking about here has to do with women? Damn. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Steve from Swiss Helm Park.
Hi.
Hi. I think that not having gynecological exams is another way that men are saying that women don't deserve good health care.
So you would think that it's a good idea to have a doctor once a year?
Yeah.
I sort of do too.
What happens if they find a lump in there or something like that?
I know.
You would never feel.
I know.
Just think of somebody like Gilda Radner, who was ill for how many years and misdiagnosed before they realized what was wrong with her, and she died from Oh, gosh. Ovarian cancer?
Yeah. Well, ovarian is one of those really stealthy, that doesn't give you much
Well, it doesn't give you
warning.
much, but still, it doesn't. You don't know. But please give me every test in the book so that I can be sure that that's not what it is I got.
Mm-hmm. So, who do you think is behind this? The insurance industry.
Some man.
Well, here's what.
Some man behind these things.
Well, it says the American College of Physicians said,
mainly men.
Yeah, said reviewing 60 years of research, they didn't find support for the idea that it helps catch cancer or other conditions in women who have no symptoms, such as pain or bleeding. And one particularly telling study found that doctors said they do pelvic exams because their patients simply expect it.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, but see, that's the thing. And then you see, you just don't know. The other thing is they're finding out all kinds of false, we see something here we really don't like, and then you get sent for something else and you're an anxious wreck, and those false positives kinds of things, or things turn out to be benign. But
I'm always the person who's going to worry when I find something to worry about. But then again, most people aren't.
Are you kidding? Don't you think everybody? I think we walk around looking for something to worry about.
Yeah, well, that's my mother and my brother, and that's kind of why my brother spent yesterday in the hospital, because he's an anxious wreck, and it was all anxiety and not his heart.
Oh, poor dear.
Because he's got way too much stuff going on.
Aww. I can relate to that. I mean, geez. It's a wonder. Don't you think most people are anxious wrecks? We just handle it differently?
I think so.
I think anxiety is just called being alive. I think.
Yeah. I'm thinking that we're going to miss out on I'm going to miss out on what's going to happen to my 25-year-old son next month, or who knows what, whether he's talking to me or not.
Oh, God, well, listen. Give it up. You never know. What, your son, he's gone. You launched him already.
I did.
I know.
He doesn't talk to me every day,
Well, mine's living at home, and he doesn't talk to me every day. That's not true. But, there again, I think anxiety is just a condition of life, and I think parenting is a chronic state of anxiety till you die.
All that, yeah.
Right?
I keep telling my son I'll worry until the day I die.
That's right. That is absolutely right. And so, no one tells parents when you're trying to, and are you thinking of having a baby? Nobody, as we push people toward having children, ever says to them, and you won't sleep well for the rest of your life.
That's right. And a piece of your brain is going to go away as soon as
Yeah.
you have one, because it's going to be thinking about them constantly.
Constantly. Oh, well. Well, okay, so you're reacting to this much like I am. It's like, at first I thought, goody, and then I thought, wait a minute. I think we need those pelvic exams. Yeah. Whatever. So thanks for the call.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Bye. Do you remember your first pelvic exam? First pelvic exam and first mammogram are like it's a wonder that your jaw is not in a drop position the whole time. Like, what? What? Hello?
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike from D.C.
Hi, Mike.
This medical issue is like my favorite topic ever.
Okay.
There's a great book called Less Medicine, More Health by Dr. Welch. And he says a lot of what you just said about being the test results bring on more anxiety than they're worth.
Mm-hmm.
But he said what they catch is there are three different kinds of cancer. There's a turtle that plods along, and you'll eventually die of something else before that cancer turtle will kill you.
Right.
Then there is a bird, a rabbit, who hops, and if you catch it in time, it won't kill you. And then there's a bird That it's like one day you don't have cancer, the next day you have cancer, and the next day after that you're dead. And all of these screenings, they all catch turtles. Mm-hmm. So the rates of us catching cancer have markedly increased, but the amount of people who are still dying of cancer is about the same.
Huh.
So we are catching more, and the previous caller said, if I have anything, I want to know. That's part of the problem is you have this thing that could be, might be harmful. So you have every test in the stratosphere, and those tests can cause more harm, not just by anxiety, but by mistakes, by failures, by viruses you wouldn't have gotten if you didn't have some tubes stuck up God only knows where. But it's a great book. It's called Less Medicine, More Health by Dr. Welch.
Gee whiz. So you bought into that totally. I mean, I just, you just wonder.
I will never have another colonoscopy. I will never have the other thing guys have to do for the prostate, ever.
Yeah, but
80% of the people, 80% of the men who die of natural causes have prostate cancer.
Yeah.
That turtle that's in there.
Right. But colon cancer, I mean, the rate of that, I think colonoscopies have really done a lot of good because they find all these precancerous polyps, they take them out, and if they hadn't been taken out, that they would have become cancer. Somebody would have I don't know.
I read the book.
Well, I hope you don't. Listen, do you have any colon cancer in your family?
Nope.
Okay,
that's another
then.
thing. He said there are other determining factors
to
determine whether you have these tests.
Yeah.
Not just, okay, you're 60, time for this battery of tests.
Mm-hmm.
When there's no colon cancer in my family, when everybody dies of heart disease, my energy and my attention should be spent on that heart disease issue, not on prostate cancer or colon cancer.
Okay, I gotcha.
And this book is really fascinating, too, and it's not too, it isn't too scholarly, but it brings up some excellent points if anybody wants to read it.
Okay, so you mean you're not going to have the pleasure of prepping for colonoscopies in your life?
Never again. I did it once. That's it. Never again. Never again. And since when is "you're really cleaned out good" a compliment?
Oh, yeah. Right, exactly. Man, I never saw such white, pristine, colon. A colon. Is that intestines? No. Yeah.
It's everything, right?
Yeah. It's, oh, God.
Man,
you're ascending. Your ascending colon was a sight to see. You're descending,
not so much.
I don't know.
And the scary thing for me with that whole test was I never knew what it was going to kick in. Like, they said, walk around the block, because mine wasn't working. And I said, walk around the block. I'm like, what if I get halfway around the block? And it starts.
Oh, you mean the cleansing part? Oh, no,
right.
you got, once you drink that stuff, you got to stay right near a bathroom. I think. Ay.
Anyway, the book's very good, and
okay.
For anybody who even thinks about should I have a test or not, read that book.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mike.
Bye.
But then, of course, we hear from Margaret, who has battled cancer, and she says, get the checkups. Increasingly in this world, in this medical reality, I think we're all on our own. Often around gynecological issues, you're on your own because docs won't even make the call. They'll say, well, on the one hand, then on the other hand, about first you had to take hormones, then, don't take the hormones, then maybe you take the... And it's like, you figure it out because the experts can't agree. So, but yeah. Just remember your first gynecological appointment. I mean, the thing that freaked me out, first of all, and things have gotten better now, was that, put your feet in the stirrups. Okay, I did. The stirrups were like cold metal. Now they put like little, like, hand warmers and stuff on them, right? Little, whatever. So you don't, and then you just can't believe the instructions you're given. No, scoot down more, and you're thinking, oh my God, where am I going here? And, and you are laid out there like a frog on a dissecting table. It's not a pleasant situation. And the same with mammograms. You can't believe that the first time. Celine, you haven't had one yet. No. Well, I got to tell you, that's just astonishing to see what a breast can do. No, because did you know your breast can literally be pancaked to the point where it's like that thick? I mean, they stick it on this slab. It's always a cold slab. Here, just pick that baby up and stick it right there. And then, bang, a vice comes down on it. And you think, Jesus, God, you mean that? I was so stunned to see that my boob could look like a pancake. I mean, just a pancake. And that's when you find that phrase to be so powerful, to have your tit in a ringer. Had you ever heard that phrase? Because you can't move. I mean, let's say a fire alarm went off and everybody went running out of the room. You are stuck. You are stuck because your boob is sandwiched with this huge bunch of metal on top of it and under it. It's something else. Jeez. You guys, you have no idea, you gentlemen, of all the joys that you miss out on. Seriously. The female body is more complicated than yours by virtue of our having the apparatus to nurture life and to give birth. Wowie. Okay, what else? Well, for not having a damn thing to talk about, I have filled the hour, haven't I? Then I keep stuffing things in here, and maybe I need to, unbelievable. I'm finding things in here from WPTT. This is ridiculous. And here is, I made note of that thing Potter said. We are deeply unserious people living in deeply serious times. That's a good one. That's a good one. I know why I kept that. What else did I keep here? From Schopenhauer. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident. I think that's generally true. I think he's got it. I think he did. Oh my God, here's a quote from William Crystal. God knows how old this is. This is the neocon who hates Trump. There is too much concern and attention for, quote, the people. After all, we conservatives are on the side of the lords and barons. We are pulling up the drawbridge against the peasants. Oh my God, there it is. I wrote it on my own little Post-it note. There it is. That's the Republican. There's the Republican. Who just said it? Do you believe that? Okay, we got a call. Man, no wonder I kept that. Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Lynn,
Yeah.
I just found you about a week ago. I'm so thrilled to hear you back on the radio, at least for me.
Oh, I'm thrilled you found me. Thank you.
Well, I think it should be at least another hour worth of talk.
Because you're used to me going 3 hours. I know.
Well, listen, as far as the mammograms and all of that, they talk about having early detection, and I really believe that has so much worth. And these little, as far as the mammogram and the pelvics and that, it just doesn't, for once a year, what the heck?
I'm with you. See, I agree with that. Once a year, what the heck? I can do that.
And the other thing is, my husband had a mammogram.
Wow!
And you talk about trying to get something between those two. That was not an easy feat.
Well, the poor guy.
Yeah. I mean, it turned out to be okay, but just to let you know that men do.
Okay, no, I know men do get breast cancer.
Right,
yes.
Right.
Well, I'm glad. I can't imagine the poor guy. Oh, dear.
Oh, I just saw him. I was, behind the where the radio tech was, and I thought, oh, my God, look at him. I mean, you talk about being uncomfortable. That was uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. That would be uncomfortable. Heaven forbid he should have to have a pelvic exam.
Isn't that the truth? No man wants to be touched down there, actually.
Well, depending on the circumstances.
Well, that's true.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
okay, you.
My vote is to continue them. It's a little bit of discomfort maybe for a lot of
potential good.
It is, right.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Why are people all of a sudden, I keep getting these people finding me all of a sudden. What is that about? Lori writes, just looked up some statistics. About 35% of physicians in the United States are women. Approximately half of all physicians in training are women. 70% of the physicians selecting gynecology as their specialty are women. But that's so still 30% of men are going into it. 60% of the physicians selecting dermatology as their specialty are women. And thank you. So that's the yeah. Okay. I'm just looking at this nonsense I have here. Oh my God. Here's one. Oh, I like this one. This is actually from a newspaper in Erie, Pennsylvania in 1822. Okay. So almost 200 years ago. Money is like manure. It does no good until it is spread. There is no real use for riches except in the distribution. The rest is all conceit. Ho, 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 ho! Yes, sirree. Speaking truth, 1822. Here's another one. All of these still potent. The easiest way, you Trump people, listen to this one. The easiest way for a nation to destroy itself is to make national security the highest value. Indeed, people are never more insecure when they become obsessed with their fears at the expense of their dreams. Or when the ability to fight becomes more important than the things worth fighting for. Wow. Yeah, we are so close to doing exactly that, living obsessively with our fears and desire for security and forgetting to live, forgetting our dreams, and to make the most of this little bit of time that is given to us, right? And here's another one. And here again, I wish people would sign up for this stuff. What is the most important lesson you have learned in life? The great essayist Sidney Harris said this: how to accept ambiguity and live with it. The most important lesson, acceptance of ambiguity, something that so many Americans don't even have a passing acquaintance with because they need everything to be concrete. No complexity, no ambiguity. And that takes us then down bad roads. Donald Trump is the greatest purveyor of those easy, cut and dried, black and white bromides that have nothing to do with reality and its ambiguity. Ray writes, I am a survivor of early onset prostate cancer, the same cancer that I watched kill my father in the most gruesome manner. After hundreds of digital rectal exams, a prostate biopsy that is too awful to describe, and a surgery followed by a catheter, I'll be happy to trade horror stories. Prostate cancer kills old men slowly, but young men quickly. But are young men tested for prostate cancer? I don't think they are. Don't discourage, Ray says, sensible caution. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anytime you start talking about this kind of thing, people who have survived, like Ray, like Margie, just immediately call and saying, what? I'm here because of exactly that which you're talking about being of little use or no use. Joe Ellen about lying on a resume. My favorite resume lie story occurred during my master's program at Penn State. Approaching the end of our program, we all prepared our resumes for inclusion in a class directory. Upon publication of the directory, we all looked through the resumes. One of our classmates listed her undergraduate college as SUNY Buffalo. That's the State University of New York at Buffalo, when she had actually graduated from a school colloquially known as Buff State. We were outraged that she might sully the reputation of our august institution and the program that so challenged us. After a moment, one of the students said, forget it. Within a few years, her resume will say she earned her master's degree at the University of Pennsylvania instead of Penn State, right? Just up it a little bit, up it a little. But see, that's a really stupid lie because that is so easily caught. You just got to call the University of Pennsylvania. Did a woman ever graduate? No. Well, then you're caught. I mean, sort of buffing up some job you did to make it sound like it was more of a to-do, as I think, anyway. And one more, Jim from Toronto says, most of these studies, just like making prescription medicines over the counter, is for insurance company payout relief. Ontario is eliminating payments for annual physicals for anyone over 12, citing study after study, but we really know it's just all about the insurance payout. It's always about that. Right. Hey, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate spending this hour with you, and I liked it so much, I'm coming back tomorrow. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.